Peace, everybody. Once again, this is Malls, about to give you a little breakdown of the songs from my album with sharp cuts called A Subtle Reminder. Before we get started, letting you know you could get A Subtle Reminder at malls.bandcamp.com. I still have CDs available, so you could get physical copies. You could get digital downloads from Bandcamp. The Bandcamp download link also has some nice exclusive extra goodies along with it. It's also on all your streaming platforms. So now with that out the way, I want to break down the first song that I'm going to do in this series is Al Dunbar. Al Dunbar is the B-side to the first single I put out, Come Again, with Sharp Cuts. And this song was written towards the end of the recording process. It was probably, I think I wrote 2 other songs after that. So it was recorded around August 2022. And, you know, that the beat that I selected was on my list of like, okay, I'm going to use these for sure. But I didn't really know what to do with that beat. The other 2 songs that I wrote afterwards, I already had the game plan for those. So I decided that, you know what? I'm going to make a 3-verse song. I haven't written a 3-verse song in a long time where I'm holding down all 3 verses. I haven't done it in a long time. So it was really just like, hey, this album needs a 3-verse track on it. So I'm going to do a 3-verse track. So in a way, I guess you could say it was filler, but it's not filler. It's actually ended up being a really dope song. And a lot of people responded to it right away, which is why I used it as the B-side to Come Again. And if you've seen the video, which is on YouTube, it's a complete contrast from the lighthearted fun of Come Again. And it's this dark, just kind of very mid-90s feel track where you just nod your head and make a stank face to it. So I actually have my rhyme pad that I wrote it in, my handy dandy Amazing Spider-Man rhyme pad. And if you can see it, this is the actual lyrics for the first verse. So I have the date. I wrote it on August 5th. And I'm just going to go through it line by line, or not line by line, but just section by section. And then I'll get to why the song is called Al Dunbar for those that don't know. Again, I didn't really have much of a game plan, so I said, hey, it's going to be a 3-verse track. I'm just going to go in. And so I kind of went with what I like to call my bass flow. And the first 4 lines, I live my life in a flow state, ready to step like new Greeks at a probate. For those that don't know, a flow state is this phenomenon that creatives try to tap into. And it's a state of where you're not, while you're creating, while you're playing your instrument, while you're singing, while you're painting, drawing, whatever it is, you are not thinking. Like, you're not thinking about what you're doing. You're just doing it. And it's almost like it's coming from this spiritual place. So, when it comes to my creativity and writing rhymes, I try to reach that flow state where I'm not questioning it, and that's what I did, with this album. I've said a lot that, this album was probably one of the easiest albums that I've done where I didn't overthink everything. I just kind of was in a flow state. I let everything come out. So I live my life in a flow state, ready to step like new Greeks in a probate, the whole Greek life thing. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain that. Wondering how many times is it going to take for you to learn time and money is 2 things that I don't waste. Self-explanatory. Don't waste my time, don't waste my money. I don't do that. At first impression, I'm a modern day Monet. Survey the landscape and rep for the whole state. I'm going to try not to do my rapper hands. But so at first impression, I am an art nerd, former art major in college. So the Impressionistic movement was, I think, 19th century French movement where you're capturing fleeting moments. And Claude Monet was an Impressionist painter. So at first impression, I'm a modern day Monet. survey the landscape, and rep for the whole state. Monet did a lot of famous landscape paintings. So, those three things connect right there. Survey the landscape, rep for the whole state. Raleigh, North Carolina, you see what it is. Big tech got an effect on the growth rate. Now the rent is too high and natives got to relocate. So among other things that are affecting the growth rate here in Raleigh and the triangle in large is big tech is coming here. Google's coming, or they're already here. I'm not even sure anymore. And so, more people are moving in. There's a finite amount of space. Rent's going up. Natives are having to relocate. It's just something that's just ongoing in Raleigh and a lot of other cities, across America. So back in '08, I was desolate and destitute. Learned the hard way. Nobody's going to rescue you. Put in action all the things my mind was set to do, and now my ends meet connected like a vestibule. So, that's just, if you've been following my music for a long time, my hardships. I don't make them any secret. So in '08, I was down on my luck. I moved out of state and was just struggling. So I was desolate and destitute. And while I did have help, no one's going to rescue you, as in no one's going to do it for you. No one's going to do the work for you. You have to put in work yourself, So now my ends meet connected like a vestibule. I ain't doing well, but I'm doing all right. I'm getting by. So my ends meet vestibule is like a foyer, an area in a home that connects, the outside to the inside. When you step in the vestibule and then you go to the rest of the house or the building or whatever. I don't think in terms of things that I would never do. I see the vision, make a plan, and then I execute. Before my breath is through, take note of what I left with you. A decade plus track record is impeccable. So I try not to think in terms of like, oh, I would never blah, 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 blah. I would rather think in terms of like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm also like a never say never, because you never know when, what kind of situation you're going to be in. So I see the vision, make a plan, and then I execute. And that's just the steps to getting things done. People like to stay stuck in that planning phase and waiting for the moment is perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. So you got to execute. Before my breath is through, take note of what I left with you. Hopefully every song that I make, every album that I make, every verse, featured verse that I have, I feel like it's building onto my legacy. So I hope you all take note. And I've been doing this for over a decade. And I like to think that my track record is pretty damn good, So then I go into the chorus. They be like, Malls, when you going to drop the tape? I ask myself, how much stress can a nigga take? I do get those supporters who are like, hey man, when's the new album coming out? When's the new album coming out? And I don't like to say like, oh, it's coming out XYZ date, because as I've learned in the past, like a lot of stuff can happen between then and that date, and then you got to push it back. So putting together an album is stressful enough as it is. It's a lot of moving parts, a lot of collaborations, a lot of time, effort, and money involved, on top of just living life normally, right? So I go into my second verse. The second verse is late nights and early mornings. Rapper life is hard, but I didn't heed the warnings. Make the most of it, though my status low budget. Probably make a couple hundred, though my buzz is steady soaring. More than meets the ear, the game is smoke and mirrors. Your people think you're stacking, but have no idea. You hear the voice and you know it's high quality. Your favorite rapper probably owes you an apology. I stay consistent, no outliers or anomalies. The Grammy snub who can body all the nominees. So, a lot of in the entertainment industry in general, a lot of it is smoke and mirrors. A lot of people like to make their Instagram posts or whatever social media posts, and you feel like these cats are just winning all the time. But no, I'll be the first to tell you, I am not winning all the time. I've taken serious L's and continue to take serious L's, but you don't let the L's stop you, right? So it's all smoke and mirrors, you know what I'm saying? People think you're getting all this money, like, oh man, you must be selling all kinds of records, getting money. It's like, nah, man, you have no clue. And that's just for people who are not privy to the music business and how it is, So the rest of that little section, just me kind of flexing. You hear the voice, you know it's high quality. Your favorite rapper probably owes you an apology. Because once you hear this, I feel like you're going to want to expect more from your favorite rapper, if I'm not already your favorite rapper. Stay consistent, no outliers or anomalies. You know, I like to think that I'm consistent. You know, I feel like probably my worst album or my worst song still is pretty darn good, you know? So then the Grammy snub, who can body all the nominees. All I need's my bash bros and my cash flow. Quiet dude, you probably thought I was an asshole. I get that a lot. I'm an introvert. I don't talk a lot. A lot of people, after they get to meet me, is like, yo, man, I thought you was mean. I thought you was an asshole. I was like, nah, man, I just don't really feel the need to talk all the time. But then I said, then again, it's probably accurate because, I mean, you know, I'm pretty sure I'm an asshole to somebody. Somebody out there right now is thinking, this fucking asshole, stop watching this fucking pointless fucking video he's putting together. What I say, all I need is my bash bros and my cash flow. Quiet dude, you probably thought I was an asshole. Then again, it's probably accurate. These Al Dunbars got me asking what's happening. I do be heavy on the obscure references. Regardless if you're catching it, you still get the messages. Okay, so what does Al Dunbar mean? Who the fuck is Al Dunbar? So this is where I show my age and also show how much of a geek I am. Al Dunbar is a character from the 70s TV show What's Happening. Al Dunbar scammed Rerun Roger and the gang and got them to take a tape recorder to the Doobie Brothers concert that was happening in Watts, I think they lived in. And Al Dunbar misrepresented himself, saying that he was their manager or something like that. And so at the end of the episode, it might have been a 2-part episode, but at the end of the episode, after the Doobie Brothers finished their set, Rerun had a trench coat because he was the one with the tape recorder recording it. He jumped up, started celebrating. He was into the moment, and the tape recorder dropped from his trench coat. So that's why in the chorus they say, Malls, when you're going to drop the tape. And so here I say these Al Dunbars got me asking what's happening. Al Dunbar, the character from the TV show What's Happening. I do be heavy on the obscure references. This is an obscure reference, and I do be Doobie Brothers. Regardless if you're catching it, you still get the messages. So even if that line went over your head, something from this song or this verse caught you. You still got the message of what I'm trying to say. So that's the mystery. That's what Al Dunbar means. That's why I named the song Al Dunbar. And so I go into not recently charted territories in my third verse. Every song's an open letter just to know me better. I'm laser focused, shoot my shot like an old Beretta. Trying to get the 9mm, then a copacetic, and toe the line between go-getter and overzealous. So every song, even in songs where where it's just me just going off and just writing about how dope I am, I do put parts of me in it. Like in the first verse, I put in art terms, you know, the Impressionist movement, Claude Monet. Second verse, I put in old TV show that I grew up watching. So every song is an open letter just to know me better. Like, if you listen to my music long enough, you kind of get to know the things that I like and just weird quirks about me. I'm laser focused, shoot my shot like an old Beretta, trying to get the 9mm. A gun bar for a cat who doesn't do gun bars. So, you know, there it is. And toe the line between go-getter and overzealous. You know, I'm definitely trying to aggressively pursue my goals, but I don't want to be just too overzealous because I've seen those guys and they come off hella obnoxious. So I developed the seventh sense, no embellishment, and never shied away from my own intelligence. An introvert, no need to ask me where the hell I went. I'm in the house, solitude's the best medicine. Saying that I developed the seventh sense. I could kind of see through a lot of people's bullshit. Being an indie musician for so long, I kind of see it when I hear it or read it. Ever since my first release, my moves are purposely calculated, made with a sense of urgency. I learned when to fire back and when to turn the cheek and left the ops waiting, sweating me nervously. I have been making music independently for a very long time. You know, like back in the MySpace Black Planet era. You know, like I've been doing this since then. I like to think that I do a no wasted motion approach when it comes to making moves and doing what I do. So that's I'm very much about efficiency. Learn when to fire back and when to turn the cheek. You know, that's just a part of growing up, man. Like, you can't respond to every perceived slight. You just can't. It's not gonna get you anywhere, you know, and you end up looking foolish. So like, you gotta know when something is worth your time, and that's not even with slights. So when I say fire back, it makes it seem like, oh, people are just dissing me and I'm ignoring them. Ain't nobody really dissing me that I know of, at least. But you gotta know, and you gotta know what deserves your attention. That I'm a beast, work hard, and I earn my keep. I played it back while I stack clouded currency, a decade plus in my prime with all certainty. So again, going back to the introvert thing, I chill and play the back. I've never been that guy that needs to be the center of attention, or needs to have all the people around them. You know, I just like to stay low, you know, get my name up, you know, get people knowing me, and get paid. Like, why else am I doing this for money if not to get paid? And just to reiterate that I've been doing this for a long time, a decade plus in my prime with all certainty. So that's Al Dunbar. That's the lyric breakdown. Again, this is the rhyme book that I wrote it in. Amazing Spider-Man. The video is out on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, check out my YouTube, youtube.com/Malzini. Go ahead and subscribe to that. Shout out to my brother Sharp Cuts, who did production on this whole album. A Subtle Reminder is out now. Anywhere you get music, it is available to you. Just search the name, Malz, MALLZ, malz.bandcamp.com. Again, I do have CDs available. Once again, Subtle Reminder, this is Malz. Peace.